In section 8.2, we will look at special right triangles. First type of special right triangle is the 45-45-90. And the 45-45-90 theorem says in a 45 degree, 45 degree, and 90 degree triangle, both legs are congruent and the length of the hypotenuse is square root 2 times the length of a leg. So in a 45-45-90, your two angles are the same. They're both 45 degrees, and then you have a right angle. So we'll refer to our legs as S, meaning side, and then the hypotenuse will be whatever the side is times the square root of 2. Okay, we're going to find missing sides in our following right triangles. They are all 45-45, 90 degree triangles. So in number 1, our two sides are 7. So to find our hypotenuse, we will just take our side, which is 7, times the square root of 2. And that's my answer. In number 2, we are given the hypotenuse and we want to find our sides. So 22 is the side times square root of 2, because that's what the hypotenuse says. We'll take whatever our side is and multiply by square root 2. So if side square root 2 equals 22, to solve for our missing side, I would divide by the square root of 2. So my side is 22 divided by square root 2. Now remember, you cannot leave a square root in the denominator, so we have to multiply top and bottom by square root 2. So then I have 22 square root 2 over 2, and I reduce. 2 divides into 22 11 times, and I have square root 2. So that means this side's 11 square root 2, and this side's 11 square root 2. So if you know the side and you're trying to find the hypotenuse, you multiply by the square root of 2. If you know the hypotenuse and you're trying to find your side, you divide by the square root of 2. In number 3, our two sides are the same, so this side is 5 square root 6. Then to find our hypotenuse, I'll take 5 square root 6 times square root 2. Now remember, radicals hold similar properties as variables, so I can multiply coefficients. 5 times 1 is 5, and then square root 6 times square root 2 is 12. Now, that is a good answer, however it can be simplified. The square root of 12 I can break down as 4 times 3, so it's 5 times 2 root 3, or 10 square root 3. So my hypotenuse is 10 square root 3. And in number 4, so my hypotenuse is square root of 2. So this is side times square root 2. So if I want to solve for my side, divide by the square root of 2. Now square root 2 divided by itself is 1. So our sides are 1. Our other type of special right triangle is a 30, 60, 90. And the theorem says in a 30 degree, 60 degree, 90 degree triangle, the length of the hypotenuse is twice the length of the shorter leg. The length of the longer leg is square root 3 times the length of the shorter leg. So to figure out which leg is shorter than the other, remember, go by your angles. So your shortest side will be opposite your shortest angle. So my shortest side is always opposite the 30 degree angle. The longer side will be opposite the 60 degree angle. And then your hypotenuse is always opposite the right angle. When finding missing sides in a 30, 60, 90 degree triangle, you always want to find your shorter side first. So in number 5, we have a 30, 60, 90 degree triangle. So our 30 degrees is the angle up top. My hypotenuse is 2. So remember, this is twice your short side. And short side we are calling S. So if 2S equals 2, then that means S is 1. My short side's 1. To go from the short side to the longer side, we multiply by the square root 3. So that's 1 square root 3, or just square root 3. In number 6, my longer side is 18. So to find my short side, so this would be S times square root 3. I need to divide both sides by the square root of 3. So then S equals 18 divided by square root 3. But again, we cannot leave a square root in the denominator. So multiply top and bottom by square root 3. So we have 18 square root 3 divided by 3, which simplifies as 6 square root 3. So my shorter side is 6 square root 3. To get the hypotenuse, we just take 2 times 6 square root 3 and get 12 square root 3. Okay, in number 7, again we have the longer side. So to find our short side, so this equals side times square root 3. Let me start with, so side square root 3 equals 5 square root 3. Divide both sides by square root 3. So our short side is 5. Then I'm just going to multiply that by 2, and I find out my hypotenuse is 10. Okay, and in number 8, so 8 square root 3 is my hypotenuse, which is twice my short side. So to find my short side, I will just divide by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4, and then bring along that square root 3. So the shorter side's 4 square root 3. Then to get our longer side, we will take 4 square root 3 times square root 3. Square root 3 times square root 3 is 9. Square root of 9 is 3. So then I end up with 12. So my longer side is 12. Okay, so the key here is if you're going from the shorter side to either the longer side or the hypotenuse, you're multiplying. You know, your sides are longer than your shorter side. But if you're going from either the hypotenuse or the longer side to the short side, you're dividing because that shorter side is shorter than the other two. Number 9 says the distance from one corner to the opposite corner of a square playground is 96 feet. To the nearest foot, how long is each side of the playground? So if it's a square, we know we have a 90-degree angle by the swing set. Then that makes each of our other angles 45 degrees because we're dividing our 90 degrees in half. So our hypotenuse is 96, which is our side times square root 2. So if I want to solve for my missing sides, we'll call them S, then I need to divide by the square root of 2. Okay. So S is equal to 96 divided by the square root of 2. And it did say how long is each side of the playground to the nearest foot. So if we round this, we get 68 feet. So each side of the playground is about 68 feet. Number 10 says a garden shaped like a rhombus has a perimeter of 100 feet and a 60-degree angle. Find the perpendicular height between the two bases. All right, so if the perimeter is 100 feet and all our sides are congruent in a rhombus, that tells me all my sides are 25 feet. Okay, and if we want to find the perpendicular height between the two bases, we're looking for that side. All right, so that means this is our 30-degree angle. We are given the hypotenuse as 25. So remember, the hypotenuse is twice the short side. So 2s equals 25. If I divide both sides by 2, I get that my short side is 12.5. So that's this side right here. Then, to find what we're calling x, that's the longer side, we need to take our short side times the square root of 3, and we are going to round that to the nearest foot, so that is about 22 feet. In number 11, a high school softball diamond is a square. The distance from base to base is 60 feet. To the nearest foot, how far does a catcher throw the ball from home plate to second base? Okay, so we're looking for this distance here, which we'll call x, and we know that the distance each base is 60 feet. So if these sides are congruent, then that means I have a 45, 45, 90-degree triangle. So if my shorter sides are 60 feet, then to find x, we'll just take 60 times the square root of 2. And it said to find out how far that was to the nearest foot. So just multiply 60 times square root 2. It's about 85 feet. In number 12, a square garden has sides 100 feet long. Martha wants to build a brick path along a diagonal of the square. How long will the path be? Round your answer to the nearest foot. All right, so again, if it's a square, here's our 90-degree angle. We're looking for the hypotenuse. Our sides are congruent. That means this is 45 degrees and 45 degrees. So to go from our side to the hypotenuse, we're going to multiply by the square root of 2. So to the nearest foot, 100 times the square root of 2 is about 141 feet. In our last example, number 13, it says the moose warning side is an equilateral triangle. The height of the sign is 1 meter. Find the length of each side of the sign to the nearest tenth of a meter. So let's go ahead and draw in our perpendicular height. So there's our 90-degree angle. It's 1 meter long. Since it said it was an equilateral triangle, I know this angle is 60 degrees. This angle is 30 degrees. So opposite my 60-degree angle is the 1 meter. So I know, we'll call this is our side, and then this is twice our side. So my side square root 3 is 1 meter. Divide both sides by square root 3, and you get 0.58, which is about 0.6 meter to the nearest tenth. Then to find our other side, we'll just take 2 times 0.6 and we'll get 1.2 meters. So our two sides are 0.6 meters and 1.2 meter.